بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أهلا وسهلا شباب فيكم، كل عام وانتم بخير. احنا الآن أمام علم جديد إن شاء الله بالنسبة لكم وبالنسبة لي كمان. يعني المعلم هو معلم طالما يتعلم. في اللحظة المعلم ببطل يتعلم لا يصلح أن يكون إيش؟ معلم. خلينا نشوف معنى كلمة انجينيرينج. انجينيرينج جاية من كلمة اللاتينية انجينيوم، بتعني كليفرنس. يعني الهندسة هي عبارة عن إيش؟ علم ذكاء. وأيضا لها meaning contrive or device، يعني إما ابتكر أو إيش؟ أو تدبر الكون اللي بنحبه. هل هذه لها هدف ولا هي لذاتها؟ is the application عدها of scientific, economic, social and practical knowledge in order to what؟ حتى قبل ما يجي لأن order نطلع على اللي مكتوب هون. شو مكتوب هون؟ كلمة إيش؟ يعني أنا إذا شرحت لك علم لازم تعرف أنت كيف بدك تستفيد منه. هلا إذا أنا أعطيتك معلومة بتعرفش تستفيد منها وقفني. I am not a scientist. I am an engineer. What is the difference between scientist and engineer? Scientist may develop a theory. Its application might come after 100 years or 300 years. The engineer is not interested in any knowledge that he doesn't know how to apply. So if I tell you this is a fixed joint, you tell me, show it to me. If I tell you this is a fixed joint as a scientist, you tell me this is an assumption. You know the difference? Super strength theory is a theory in physics, has no practical applications up to now. It will have practical applications maybe in 5 years, 100 years. I'm not interested to teach you super strength theory because it is not engineering. Engineering, one of its objectives is to what? To invent or design or build or maintain or improve. It should be practical. So the first issue in our education, any theory I speak about, you ask me, show me its application, how to get benefit out of it. If you know how to get benefit out of it, we are in an engineering class. If you do not, you are speaking Latin. في عندكم مشكلة باللغة الإنجليزية هيك؟ مين عنده مشكلة يرفع ايده؟ ما تستحوش. أنا جاي هون أنقل معرفة. تمام؟ إذا المعرفة بتنقل بالعربي بدي أحكي عربي. هاي الكتابة بالإنجليزي. وإذا المعرفة باللغة الإنجليزية بالنسبة لكم سهلة بستمر بالإنجليزي. فأنا خليني أمشي معكم بأي وقت بتلاحظوا إن الوضع مختلف، ما حدش منكم يرجع. طالب واحد بس يرفع ايده ويقول له أنا إيش؟ مش فاهم. Scientific. We need science. Economy. If we are not interested in economy, we don't need the engineer. I want to design a building. A column 1 meter by 1 meter will carry a building 3 stories high, 4 meter by 4 meter. Only the engineer can tell how much you can reduce the column to make a safe structure. So your objective in the field is to achieve what? Economy, social. You might be the best engineer in science, the best engineer in economy, but you are unable to do communication. You fail as an engineer. Social means ability to what? To communicate. Ability to understand the social needs of your client. Many people think that if I build a structure, that's okay. If I build a structure in Kuwait for a person living in desert, he will put his sheep in the building because his social needs is different. So I want to satisfy the social need of the individual, not my social needs. So the leader in engineering design is the owner, not the engineer. The owner needs objectives. You as an engineer should what? Satisfy such objectives, not your objectives. You might like yellow color, but your client like red color. You don't convince him that yellow is better. You do it what? Red, because he likes it. Now, if he wants to put another color with red that does not come with red, your objective is to tell him, no, don't do that. Let us keep red, but we can use white with red. We cannot use such color with red. So science is needed if you know the requirement of the client, you build it on science. And practical, which we spoke about, to invent, design, build, maintain, and improve structures. So when you graduate, are you able to invent? Are you able to design, to build, to maintain, to improve? If you think you are able to do that, we teach you well. If you don't feel confidence that you can do that, we don't teach you well. So the objective of our education is that to change our environment into the best environment that you can reach. We can take mountains out and change them to what? To high-rise buildings, to factories, to roads, to bridges, and so. American Engineers Council of Professional Engineers Development was before APET. It defines engineering as, notice the definition of engineering here does not change with the definition of engineering on the top. But the wording are what? Different. This is not true in definition of earthquake engineering, which we'll come to it. They say that engineering is the creative. When I say the creative, is it the copy? Or development or creative? So they want a creative mind. The creative application of scientific principles to design or develop structures. Thus, in engineering, if you find an example, and I bring you an example similar to the example you solved, you tell me you are not making me an engineer. Engineering is what? Creativity. Give me examples, new examples, I am not exposed to, and ask me if I can solve them or not. So if I want to deceive you, I will give you information, give you examples, and examine you with the same information I give, and with the same examples I give, I deceive you. You take an A, you are an excellent student, but this is not engineering. Engineering is, what I said is only 1/3 of engineering. You got another 2/3. The other 1/3 of engineering is to know how to make it better. And the best way of engineering to be creative. That's why in Arabic world we have hundreds of thousands of engineers graduating every year. Compare it to any European country. Got only hundreds of engineers graduating every year. Look at those engineers and look at our engineers after a while. What you will find? The production of those hundreds of engineers is much greater than our production. What does that mean? Problem in education. Now, if we cannot overcome such problem of education, we cannot develop our country. That's why if you find different way of education, try to ask yourself, is such a different way makes you a better person? If it makes you a better person, go with it. If it reversely brings you back, search for another. And if you are satisfied of what your standing is, be careful and be certain that there is a better thinking around. Search for it. If you are glad with my education, make sure that there is a better teacher than me. Search for him. Okay? So one of the characteristics of science is tentative. قاصرة. شو يعني قاصرة؟ محددة. يعني العلم كل يوم ماله أحسن من اليوم مين؟ اللي قبله. لاحظوا أنا شرحت لكم معنى تنتتف. لذلك أي إنسان بيوقف في العلم أصبح ميت. وفيش جامعة بتحترم حالها بترضى أستاذ يكون علمه ماله وقف على حد ويعلمه. يعني ممكن واحد يتباهى أنا كتابي اللي ألفته من 10 سنين لا يزال يدرس. الجامعة المفروض تسكر حالها. فيش جامعة بتحترم حالها ترضى أنها تدرس كتاب قديش عمره؟ 10 سنين. واضح؟ فهذا ليس مدح في الأستاذ وإنما ذم في الأستاذ وذم في المجتمع. الأستاذ اللي بيحترم حاله لما بيعرف إنه كلامه من 10 سنين لسه يدرس هذا شو بقول؟ مصيبة هاي. أنا كثير من كلامي تغير وكثير من فكري ماله تغير. إذا هلا لاحظوا شو قالوا. Creative application of scientific principles to design or develop structures, machines, apparatus or manufacturing processes or works utilizing them singly or in what? In combination, or to construct or operate the same with full هاي معناها knowledge، بس أنا حطيتها كما كتبها مين؟ ECBD. With full knowledge of their what? Of their design, or to forecast their behavior under specific operating conditions. Forecast. Without forecast, there is no science. All as respect and intended function, economics of operation, or safely to life and property. Another definition of what? Of engineering. If you compare this to this, you will find the same ideas, but what?
Different words.
Different word. Earthquake engineering is different. You will find books defining earthquake engineering as a field of engineering that evaluates various buildings and structures for their ability to withstand earthquakes. This is a very narrow definition of earthquake engineering that doesn't satisfy our goals. We need to design buildings to withstand earthquake. Okay. But this is not earthquake engineering. Another definition of earthquake engineering. It is the branch of engineering devoted to mitigating. Mitigating means reducing. تخفيف. Earthquake hazard. In this broad sense, earthquake engineering covers the investigation and solution of problems created by damaging earthquakes, and consequently the work involved in the practical application of these solutions, i.e. in planning, designing, constructing, managing earthquake resistant structures and facilities. Such definition is very broad. What earthquake damages? Let us see. I will show you some of damages of earthquake. You can go to internet, put earthquake damages, and you will find what? Plenty of what? Of pictures. The earthquake is defined as motion or trembling. Notice he's using what? Trembling. Sometimes he's using shaking. Different wording to describe what? Motion of what? Of the earth. Do we have different verse in Arabic for earthquake? Translate earthquake in Arabic.
هزة أرضية.
زلزال. هزة أرضية. في ناس قالوا هزة. راجفة.
في درجات
الراجفة. أنا بحكي أسماء. هزات، راجفات، راجفة، زلزلة، وأسماء تانية. واضح؟ نفس الشيء في الإنجليزي. In English we have different wording. Shaking. When we see trembling, it means what? There is a sort of fearness. راجفة. برجف. واضح؟ زلزال causes fearness. If I tell you that we are expecting an earthquake within the next, let us say, 5 years, do you feel afraid or not? Any one of you doesn't feel afraid if I tell him that an earthquake might occur in the next 5 years? Everybody feels. So when you want to describe something, you have to give wording that will describe its effect. If I say hazza, I am speaking about this. If I say zalzala, I am repeating zalzal. Hazza, this هذا زلزلة. Rajafa, I might move him like this, but he's not afraid. Rajafa, it means what? When I am moving him, he's what? Very fearful. That's why the first time you feel an earthquake, you are afraid. The second time, it is an earthquake. Okay? The first time Jewish entered and a bullet was thrown, everybody was afraid in the house. Now, bulldozers are coming to the city, and the person said, let me sleep 5 hours before they start moving. So the effect of earthquake depends how much you are subjected to earthquake force. So we use different wording in order to describe what is occurring in our universe. Here, they say that it is trembling of the ground produced by sudden displacement of rock in the earth crust. Earthquake result from crustal strain, volcanoes, landslides, and collapse of caverns. This wording is shocked because there are earthquakes caused by human activities. Can you give me an example?
bombs انفجارات.
Excellent. At 2001, what happens in 2001? 2001, 2001. September 2000. 11 September, what happened? Two towers collapsed. A Richter scale of 5.2 was registered. So the collapse of the two towers caused an earthquake of magnitude what? 5.2 Richter scale. What does that mean? We will come to it. But explosions cause what? Earthquakes. Another example.
Hiroshima?
The same, explosions.
Okay.
In California, they built a lake, artificial lake. When they started pouring water in it, they noticed that the earth is starting to what? To give signs of what? Of earthquake magnitude. That increases with what? The filling of the reservoir of the lake. So making major changes on earth resulted in what? In displacement of the crust, which causes earthquake. So earthquakes are either human-made or what? Nature-made. When we say that a volcano erupted, after the volcano an earthquake occurs. This is nature-made. When we make explosions and the earthquake occurs, this is called what? Man-made. Notice, I am reading this in the view whether this is right or wrong, and I am certain if it is right, it is not complete. And if it is wrong, it needs what?
Correction.
Correction. So this mind should be kept all the way through education. When I show you something, think of one of the two things. First of all, is it right to accept it? If it is right, what is missing? What do you see in this picture? Damage of what? Are these buildings damaged?
No.
Who said yes? Who said no?
No.
No. Who said yes? Why?
damage حتى لو ما
What is the damage? Can we turn off the light? How to turn off the light? Okay. Okay. These buildings, are they damaged or not? Tell me one. So, if you see these cars, this is a garage, which you can enter the building through. Now this floor has been damaged and the cars has been broken. On such houses, if you want to enter, you have to what? To open a door. This is bridge, collapsed because of the collapse of the column. All bridge decks comes what? Over each other. You got collapses, not major, a small collapse in a column. But this is collapse. This is a failure. Look at this. This type of damage. Here you got a street. Between these you got what? A street. With this falling down, what happens to the street? Suppose an earthquake occurs in Nablus, لا سمح الله, لا قدر الله. We have Faisal Street and a building closed Faisal Street. What will happen? What are these people doing? Gathering either their stuff or what? Other stuff from what? From the garbage. Look at this video. Do you see any collapse in these? Look at the beams. Everything is okay, but the problem is what? This story, the first story, collapsed, and the whole beam what? The building tilted.
دكتور ممكن بيكون سوفت ستوري، يعني لما بيكون كراج بيكون أضعف من غيره ببقية البيلدينج.
Yes, this is soft story. What does it mean soft story? Sarah will come to explain it later. But I want you to show you damages. And if you see damages of buildings, damages of bridges, damages of oil tanks, damages of streets, then you will have an idea that earthquake damages cover everything. Look what happens with a fault occurs. Here you got only small motion, but here this line of trees was in here. With the fall, this line of trees moves more than 3 meters aside. Change on what? In land. Look at this school. With this fault, what happens to this school? So when an earthquake occurs, you don't have what? Schools for education. Look at this landslide. The landslide, all of these are housing. Repeated. What happens to this housing? Damage. The same is true in here. Landslide. Due to earthquake. Look at this railroad. When landslide occur after an earthquake, what happens to the transportation? For railroads, it failed. For highways, it failed. Sometimes liquefaction occur, and if liquefaction occur of the ground, what will happen to the building? It will turn all over. Earthquakes sometimes cause fires. In 1906, the earthquake that occurs in San Francisco, the gas lines are broken and the fire burned the whole city. So the consequences of earthquake are so dangerous to the extent that when you see that damaging earthquake can damage anything. Can damage anything. Is there other definitions of earthquake? Yes. The type of definition that we will adopt in this course says earthquake engineering is the science that deals with the effect of earthquakes on people and what? And their environment. It covers what? Everything. And with methods of reducing those what? Those effects. In the 70s, an earthquake occurred in Cairo. The number of people who were dead under feet are more than the number of people who were dead under what? Under the collapse of buildings. We were about to miss a friend in 2004 earthquake. When 2004 earthquake occurred, people escaped from the building into the stairs. And when you rush into the stairs, someone slower than the other, and if he pushes him, what will happen? All people will be under feet. One of the secretaries was pushed and being supported by other two before being under feet. Hamis Otbela was one of the people who support her, and her hand was what? Injured by this. What do you do when an earthquake occurs? Something important. We will come to it. Okay? But there are many aspects to the environment that we need to look at. As an example, look at this school. What happens to the shells? At this church, at this bridge, at the land. Examples supporting previous examples of earthquake. Now, from structural viewpoint, it studies the behavior of structures under earthquake excitation. From structural viewpoint, what are the points that needed to be covered? When a structure fails, is it in the elastic range or it enters the inelastic range? Elastic range. So are we satisfied with elastic analysis, or we should do non-linear analysis? It fails in the inelastic range. And if I look at a structure This is the material properties of steel, stress strain of steel, mild steel. Failure occurs where? At the top here. Elastic analysis means I am where? I am in this range. This is for a material. If we do it for a structure under a lateral load, the structure will behave something like this and collapse. It means that it starts losing its linearity every time a joint in it goes into an elastic range and forms something called elastic hinge. So if you want to understand at what load a structure fails, you should understand nonlinear behavior. Now, can we design earthquakes only for linear region? Yes, but this will cause a very large members, which we'll talk about. So here, if you want to do an economical structure, you should understand what? Something called the hysteresis loop. It is a loop where it shows how you load, unload, load and load, load and load. Call it what? Loop. Hysteresis loop is the type of stress-strain relationships that we need in order to understand the collapse of structures, together with linear and non-linear plastic analysis and design. In our master engineering program, we provide a course called plastic design. This course, plastic design, is an introduction to this one. Can we design a structure in the linear range? Yes, but it needs what? Very big what? Members. So in economical scale, it will be what? So costly. Do we have to do it? Yes. We have to do it in hospitals, we have to do it in schools, in nuclear power stations, etc. Why?
Important.
Because they are important. Okay? Now, the second aspect. So this, if you learn it or not, this is a special topic. It is not a fundamental topic. It is a special topic to make you what? Differentiating from others. If we look at the other part, earthquakes are oscillatory in nature. They cause structures to deform in opposite directions, which require an understanding of structural behavior under cyclic loading, which is vibration. Cyclic loading means what? Load goes back and forth. And this requires a vibration theory, which is dynamics. This is essential. This is what? Essential. If you don't understand it, you don't have the basic to enter to what? To earthquake science. The third part, earthquakes are extremely random. They calls for utilization of probability approach in analysis and design of structures under seismic excitation. If this is called vibration, this is called random vibrations. This is called what? Random vibration. The word random means something that has a law which I don't know. If I don't know, I call it what? Random. It means that here I am speaking about something I don't know. I'll give you an example. Now, what are the characteristics of earthquakes? Characteristics of science. Can you tell me characteristics of science? In order to know where you stand, there are certain characteristics. One, science is testable. What does it mean, testable? If I leave this, it goes what? Downward, okay? I tell you that removing my fingers will bring this downward. Testable, I remove my fingers. If it goes downward, this is science. If I cannot do a test, this is not science. So one objective of science is what? Testable. You can test it. If I give you anything, I call it science. Tell me, show it to me. Show it to me. Show that what you said is science. Prove it to me. Testable. The second, it is reproducible. Reproducible. What does that mean? What do you mean by reproducible? If I do this test in United States, it gives the same result or not? If it doesn't give the same result, it is not science. Okay? Explanatory. Okay, my mother, your mother, my father, your father, that child will see this what? Falls down when I leave it. And he will see it repeating itself at every place on the earth. Give us an explanation of it. Without explanation, you don't have science. Okay? When Newton's provide his law, one of the words that are important to Newton, he said, I was able to look a little bit further because I stood on top of giants. What does that mean? It means in order to be able to look better, you should have someone to what? To raise you on the top. The teachers of Newton were so great to the extent that they put him to the level that he can explain the law of gravity. Okay? So you need a very good teacher in order to what? To make you able to see what others cannot see. But he cannot see what you can see. If I put my child on my shoulder, I will ask my child, what do you see? And I will learn from him what he is going to see. So the objective of teaching is you are a child and I am a father. I need to put you on what? On top of my shoulder. If you are on top of my shoulder and you see what I see, shame on you. Because on top of my shoulder, you should what? See more. So if I put you on top of my shoulder, the objective is that you should what? See more. If you see more, the benefit of such saying goes only to you or to the person who put you on his shoulder. That's why a person is interested in being a teacher. Why? Because of the benefit of teaching. Predicted. If you do not have prediction, you are not a science. I say that tomorrow the weather will be shiny. Tomorrow it is cloudy. Nobody will hear to me. I say tomorrow will be shiny. Tomorrow it is shiny. Then you will come to me and tell me, after tomorrow it will be what? Now if I cannot predict in the future, I am not a scientist. واضح؟ هلا بيجي بقول لك لا يعلم الغيب الا مين؟ ذلك ربنا حط سنن اللي بتعلم يعرف الغيب. بس هو اللي عرف الغيب من عنده ولا من سنن الله؟ من سنن الله. ارسل كلمات حكى فيها عن الغيب، غيب الماضي والحاضر، اللي بيعرف يقراها ويفك شفرتها عرف ايش؟ يعرف الغيب. هذا هو ساينس. واضح؟ لذلك قيل العلماء ورثة مين؟ بشو يعني النبي؟ يتنبأ. العلم شباب مصر. العلم له 4 محددات: زمان، مكان، كم، كيف. That's why scientists are always in continuous what? Development. You will be surprised when we speak about earthquake engineering that in earthquake, if an earthquake occurs at San Andreas Fault, it will never be repeated in life. Which means that if San Andreas make another earthquake at another time, the frequency, the duration, etc. will be different. The earthquake, when we measure it, it comes in this form. Suppose we want to measure displacement of the ground against time or acceleration against time, it will come into this form. This form got 3 characteristics. It got amplitude, it got duration, and it got frequency. 3 characteristics: frequency, duration, and what? Amplitude. Up till now, no earthquake repeats itself. That's why it is what? A very random process. So Is it testable? Yes. When an earthquake occurs at any place in the earth, even in United States or in California, all scientists are very interested to go and see. In the last century, we lived in two main civilizations, Russian civilization and what? Western civilization. In 1988, an earthquake occurred in Armenia, in Russia. It destroyed villages completely. At that time, Russian civilization was what? Going down, and thus American civilization starts what? We are what? The only civilization that you can learn from. When they speak this, in 1944, Northridge earthquake in the United States lasted 3 minutes, 3 seconds, 30 seconds. Lasted, the duration was what? 30 seconds. What they say in TV is that 30 seconds cost 30 billions. Bridges fall down, many structures fall down. People in America like a game called football game. It is not soccer that we know. It is a type of match. And there was a match during that time that all people were at home watching. Thus the catastrophes in life were what? So small. But what happens, I was living in America proposing 2 types of structures to withstand earthquake. If you want to do reinforced concrete, make shear walls. And if you want to make steel, make ductile moment resisting frames. Ductile moment resisting frames was proposed to be the best structures to resist what? Earthquake. These frames were ductile, but the joints in these frames all were what? Welded joints. Now, they are designed to take an earthquake, let us say, of magnitude 7. A magnitude 5 point something earthquake caused the welds to crack. It means that another earthquake in California might what? Collapse hundreds of structures. This issue make all Americans what? So frightened. Japan said, oh, I am the one who provide earthquake engineering to the world. Forget about Russia. Forget about what? America. What was published in research in the 1980s in the United States was written in codes in Japan. Let me tell you something. Research is the highest level of science. Code is the lowest level of science. So let me repeat the word. What was published in research in the United States in the 80s was written in codes in Japan. So everybody was so astonished by Japan's what? Science. And let me give you an example of this. Usually when we build structures to resist earthquake, we have something called shaking table. In the United States, what they do, they make a small model on a shaking table, and they shake this model, and they have similarity, analogy on such a small model and what? And the large structure. In Japan, they build real structures on very large shaking table, and they shake real structures. So who got the source of information? The Japanese. They said that if you want to learn earthquake engineering, come to Japan. This is 1994. 1995, Kobe earthquake, 95. They said that they designed their buildings to take an earthquake magnitude of 8. Cuba, 1995, destroyed the whole city. Destroyed the whole city. Everyone started to be humble. What does it mean, start to be humble? They realized that our knowledge in earthquake, we do not still do a breakthrough. This is one thing that I want to tell you. I know that all theories trying to predict when an earthquake occurs all failed. An example here, since 1995 till now, and we hear that within 10 years an earthquake will hit Palestine. A large earthquake will hit Palestine. 20 years lapsed, and we are still hearing in the next 10 years a large earthquake will hit Palestine. This is not different than US or Russia. There is no science of prediction of earthquake. Up till now, only one case in China in the 70s, they expected an earthquake and it occurs. Other than that, if anybody knows any science of prediction of earthquake at any place of the world, let him tell me about that. So prediction when an earthquake occurs, up till now, is so far from being what? Scientific. That's why we say we expect in the next 20 years an earthquake occur. In the next 50 years. I'll give you in seismic hazard a very small idea, which is now so much improved, but still small ideas. When you see that earthquake occurs, you see that the line of trees has shifted what? 3 meters. When we come to the explanation of the earthquake, tell me to remind you how we can estimate when an earthquake occurs due to such measurement. It means that if a fault moves, let us say, 10 centimeter a year, and if it breaks at 3 meter, then I expect in 30 years by 10 centimeter, it will reach what? 3 meter and break. This is a very primitive idea of predicting what? Earthquake, which I will explain it later. So here in prediction, we are so low. What about explanatory? We only have theories. I will only give you theories. There is no law why earthquake occurs. What is the difference between law and theory? Do we give you theory of structural analysis and laws of structural analysis? What is the difference between the two? What are the laws in structural analysis? The laws.
Conservation.
It is good. The 3 laws: stress-strain relationship, equilibrium, compatibility. These are the 3 laws. How many theories you took? 3-moment equation, slope deflection, Castigliano's, matrix analysis, finite element, elastic center, column analogy. All are theories. Under what? Certain assumptions. Why an earthquake occurs? We only have theories. We only have what? Theories, which I will come and explain it later. Can it be reproduced? I tell you, no way. No way. No way an earthquake can occur twice. It means that it will have the same period and the same frequency and the same amplitude. Up till now, if you can't prove to me that 2 earthquakes, up till now, which we have hundreds of earthquakes registration, that an earthquake repeated itself, I will be very happy to see such an evidence. Such that we are now in front of a science that is so variable. Our knowledge of it is so weak. And there are people who are saying that we can't do anything. I don't believe in that. My lesson to you in doing earthquake design: try as much as possible not to area in which you do not know. An example: when we teach you mechanics of materials, we know flexure, for sure. We develop a theory and we go to the lab, and what we develop in the theory we see in the lab. This beam will take 100 kilonewton meter. Go and test it. It will take in the lab 990, 100, it will take 99, 101, etc. Can anyone predict how much this beam will carry shear? I challenge the whole people, the whole scientists in the whole world to give me a beam and predict its shear capacity and test it and give the same shear capacity. That's why in mechanics of materials we tell you that in shear we do not have a model. In axial we know, in flexure we know, in shear what? We do not know. So if I make a structure subjected to torsion, which is built on shear theory, what do I expect? I expect that I am doing something I don't know about. The first structures that fail in earthquakes are non-symmetric structures. What does it mean, non-symmetric? That the structure is subjected to what? To torsion. If you want to make a structure safe in earthquake, the first lesson to learn, make the center of gravity and the center of rigidity 1 point. Make it unified, such that it will vibrate in what? In flexure, not in torsion. And the first thing that any office in the whole world start to design is to make sure in vibration, when I teach you vibration, that the fundamental mode, which is the basic mode, should not be torsion. Should not be what? Torsion. If it does not torsion, it means that he is making the first step towards securing his structure. When I put such characteristics of science, anything that I teach you, you should ask yourself a question. Is this testable? Try. I will tell many things during this course. Things that are familiar to you and things that are not familiar to you. When you hear something non-familiar, test it. If it makes your life better, adopt it. If not, no, that is not suitable for you. It's like medicine. You go to a doctor. You have a stomach pain. He gives you what? A medicine. You go, the stomach pain is still, but another shoulder pain comes. What do? You go to the same doctor, tell him I got a stomach pain, now I got what? A shoulder pain and that what? A stomach pain. He gives you another decision, now you got leg pain, shoulder pain and stomach pain. You got the same doctor? No. This is science. This is engineering science. I listen to you if you make my life better. If you make my life enjoyable. I come to this lecture if I enjoy it. If I don't enjoy it, أنا وظيفتي شباب أخليك تحب العلم. اللي منكم جاي على هاي المحاضرة بجر حاجة الله يكون بعونه في حياته. هل المادة وسيلة أم المادة غاية؟ إذا هلا في فرق كبير بين ناس شباب ترتزق لتتعلم. ترتزق حتى تشوف الساعة بين إحدى ناس شو بتعمل؟ تتعلم لترتزق. فاللي بعلمك حتى ترتزق عيشك تعيش طول حياتك. اللي قال لك الرزق بدك اياه حتى انت تتعلم عيشك سعيد طول حياتك. زي ناكل لنعيش ولا ايش؟ نعيش. للاسف الشديد الثقافه السائده في مجتمعاتنا نحن نتعلم لنرتزق. انا دائما بقول لكم احنا مجتمعات تمشي على راسنا. بدال ما القوي يخدم الضعيف يخدم مين؟ القوي. بدال ما انا اتعلم ارتزق لاتعلم، انا شو عمالي بعمل؟ بتعلم لارتزق. ما لم هاي المفاهيم تتغير مش رايحين نقطة النهض. انا برحب فيكم بهذا المسار، بس برحب بعقولكم انها تيجي على هذا المسار حتى لما اعطي معلومة تحكموها بالاشياء اللي انا حطيتها. is it testable؟ explanatory؟ predictive؟ الى اخره. قديش احنا بهذا العلم، انا قديش وصلت بهذا العلم بوصلكم، بس اكيد في كثير ناس بفهموا اكثر مني، بيعرفوا اكثر مني، فحاولوا انكم انا يكون التعليم ماله باك اند فورث. اتفق؟ حد عنده اي سؤال؟ يعطيكم العافيه.